Mimer is on page 156, 157. Today we're going to start from 158. And it's a Mimer that's based on the Tefillah of Daniel. And Moshe yesterday asked me, where is this? So again, take out a siddur, either now or later, and you'll see in the long Tachnun, right? There's the short Tachnun we say every day, Shamnu, Bogadnu, right? That's every day. We don't say it, by the way, till next Sunday, because it was still in the month of Nisan. But then there's Monday and Thursday where we say Vahu Rachum. So that's called the long Tachnun, right? And in that section, you'll find these verses, these and other verses mentioned later in this Mimer, are all from that section. And where's that section from? So you look at the footnotes in the Chabad Siddur or the Art Scroll Siddur or other Siddurim, and they'll tell you it's from Daniel. And this is called Tfilas Daniel al HaGolus. It's Daniel's prayer for the Golus. And we're in Golus. That's the fact. Anyone that thinks otherwise is in big trouble. We are in Golus, and in a way, in a bad Golus, a deep Golus, and I don't mean just physically because of the corona and everything that's happening now. That's an added Hillel, that's an added Zetz. That's an added, it's an added experience. But the fact is that even in the best of times, the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. The Shechina is begolus. That's a fact that we have for 1900 plus years been dealing with. And all of Torah and all of Chasidus and all of Musar and everything else is trying to accomplish the following. Tikkun HaGolus, the correction of the Golus. And once you will have the Tikkun HaGolus, according to Chazal, and we believe in Chazal, Mashiach comes. So we've been working at this 1900 years. The Rebbe, I heard from him many times, and sometimes he was very emotional about it, and he choked up, and he cried, and he couldn't continue speaking, how it's not understood that after 1900 years of davening and learning and doing tzedakah and chesed and mesiras nefesh, and Mashiach is still not here. So this Mimer and the next few Maimorim all are about this phenomenon. So this is a very, very important, fundamental Mimer to our existence and how we are to understand what's happening. Chabad Chasidus is about understanding. So, by the way, if you have a question or a comment, raise your voice and let me know, because when I say and I explain, I'm just on a path. But if something's not clear, please raise your hand or voice, and I'll stop and take your comment or question. So let's now continue. Yes.
Rabbi, so just what you just said now. So Rabbi YY said this a couple of days ago. He was giving a share online to kids. So my kids are watching it, and then I saw very interesting stuff. It's basically where kids ask kashas, and he gives them the answers to their kashas. So one of the kashas was a very good question. He said that he hears from his Rabbi that Mashiach is coming, and this is what the corona is, and this and that. So he asked the question. He says, is this really what's happening? Is Mashiach really coming, or what? So he says, listen, we don't know when Mashiach's going to come, but these are the footsteps of Mashiach. We hear the footsteps of Mashiach. It could be the corona, makes it closer, but this is mamish. We're hearing the steps.
Yeah, and the Frierdiker Rebbe, our author, said this about the Holocaust in the 1940s. So the steps, I guess there are large steps or small steps. They're steps. Yeah, I'm not belittling. I'm just saying we've had enough steps. Okay, 70 years worth of steps. But listen.
What's the Gemara's phrase for large steps? You're not supposed to take large steps.
Halicha Gasa. which, by the way, the word gasa means grub, large steps in the sense, yeah, and guess what? Sometimes, Yoni, the steps make us go backwards. But again, we're not Hashem, we don't know, but the fact is that we have to get there. Okay, page 158, let's now continue the second paragraph. Oh, so what is he responding to here? So he begins with the pasuk, V'ata shma ko Elokeinu. Daniel says, and now, listen Hashem, el tfilos avdecha, vel tachnuna. This is the beginning of the mimer. To the prayers of your servant and to the pleadings, v'hoir panecha mikdoshcha shamim, and illuminate the desolate sanctuary with your countenance. Leman ad Hashem. For the sake of God. So the Rebbe asked basically the question, what's the language V'ata? And he said that V'ata is used in the Torah to imply a chidush, a novelty, and a change. And he brought the pasuk in Dvarim, V'ata Yisrael ma Hashem Elokecha shoyel me'ima kim liyira oisai. What does God ask of you now? What? To fear. And Rashi says, that what does the word Va'ata mean in that verse? That the Yidden had sinned with the golden calf or the egel. So therefore, what should be the regular procedure? Do tshuva, clean up your act, and then we can go further. We can talk business. Hashem says no. V'ata, and right now, regardless of the fact that you messed up before, I'm putting that aside. Right now, I want to see one thing, yira. And if you display yira, we could talk. So what do we see? That the word V'ata implies a novelty, a chiddush. So the Rebbe says, if that's the case, what does the word V'ata mean in this verse? V'ata shma Elokeinu. What is it that Daniel is referring to, that regardless of what the situation was before, meaning in Golus, he's in Golus, Daniel. He's captured. He's amongst the captives. Regardless, Hashem listened to the prayers and have your countenance impact the desolate sanctuary. So what is V'ata? That's the question of the Rebbe in this mimer. The first question. There'll be another question soon. And to understand this, he introduced two ideas. There's churban and there's shimum. Churban means physical destruction. Shimum is desolate, meaning inner destruction. And the Rebbe says that really, shimum, shamim, is worse than churban. Now, churban means physical.
Rabbi, shimum is also boredom, right?
Yeah, but that's a modern translation, and it's a good one because we know that someone who's bored can do the worst things because of boredom. But shimum literally means desolation. L'shamein, desolate. So the Rebbe says, he gave the example. You have a home, you have a city, and one thing is when they're destroyed. So you see destruction, you see broken buildings. Okay, you see burnt out windows going on the train from the Bronx to Brooklyn, and you pass over that long pass, if those from New York know, and you could look down, and it looked like the place was bombed out in the 60s and 70s, So it's shimum. I'm sorry, it's churban. But the Rebbe says, as bad as that is, you know what you're getting? You know what you're getting. It's destroyed, right? Go to the Kaisel today, go to the southern wall and look down. Today it's open, you can walk down there, and I've done it. You see large stones, and supposedly they fell. They've been there 2,000 years since the Romans. You see churban. However, shimum is even worse. Moshe, why? Because shimum means you don't see from the outside. There's a problem. Outside, it's a beautiful house. Outside, everything is rosy, everything is good. But when you start looking inside, you see there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of difficulties and problems. And that's much harder to correct. As Hillel can attest in his work, we're working with people, outside the person can smile and laugh, but inside there's a lot of issues and a lot of difficult issues. And this is Shimon. So the Rebbe says here in the Maimer that since Daniel says, look at the verse, V'hoir ponecha al mikdoshcha hashomein, and may your countenance shine on the desolate mikdash. This is the issue that Daniel is looking to correct, Baruch. He's not looking to correct the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash only. That is a fact. We have a broken building. We have stones falling. But he's looking for the inside. And he's telling us that the Golus, that the exile, the problem of Golus is the inside, the Shimon. And that's what he's grappling with. And that's what he's talking about. So I think this sets up a very important approach to life, to avodah, to Torah, to family, to community. It's so wonderful to have a building. But everyone knows when you have a building, you have maintenance. And everyone knows when you have maintenance, you have balabatim. And when you have balabatim, you have parties. And you have parties, you have shmutz. And all of a sudden, this beautiful building from the outside, when you go inside, you see that there's real issues that need to be dealt with. So you need people and a board and not a board and how to, the point is, what you get from the outside is not the inside. And this is what Daniel is dealing with in this tefillah. And that's why the Monday and Thursday Tachnun, it's childish and foolish to want to eliminate it. And sometimes we go that direction. I don't have patience to daven more. But the truth is, if you pay attention to those verses, they are very powerful, very powerful. And that's what Daniel is doing. And let us continue now on page 158. Any comments?
Rabbi, I have a question.
Yes.
Are we talking about a Geula Pratis or Geula Klalis?
Well, I would say that right now he's talking more about a Geula Pratis. But you can't get away from the fact, Baruch, that Daniel was in Golus together with other Jews, and they wanted Geula. They wanted to get back to Eretz Yisrael and have peace, and all that. But the Maimer focuses more on the Geula Pratis. Let's look inside, everybody, and continue. 158. Omnom lefi zeh tzarich lahavin lo mamaske b'tfilosei zoi shem atnus. Why does he mention, this is the second question now, why does Daniel mention Hashem's name by using the word Leman Adoi Noi, which is Adnos. Adonai means master. The Adon, the master. The Lechoira Eine moving, seemingly it's not understood. Number one, Moshe asks, why do you need to mention a name at all, Yoni? I mean, look, go back to the verse. Hillel, go back to the verse. V'at shma Elokeinu el tfilas avdecha vel tachnunov. Now listen to your servant and to his pleadings, and have your countenance illuminate the desolate Shomen. Make a period over there. What do you mean, Lamana Adonai? Of course, it's your house, it's your sanctuary, it's not mine. So seemingly the words Lamana Adonai are totally superfluous. That's the Rebbe's question. Let's continue now. So Lama Tzarach Laskaras Hashem. Why do we need the mention of any name of Hashem? The Havalei Lemei, but he should have said Lemancha. Lemancha. For your purpose. Right? When you write a sentence, You write it as a short and clear as possible. Lemancha, not leman Hashem. V'hoya maspik. If you would have said lemancha, it would be adequate. It would be maspik. And then the Rebbe says, and if for some reason you do need a name, why not Elokim? Right? Why not another name? Why does he choose Aleph Dalad Nun Yud? That's his question. So that's the question. Number one, no names is necessary. Seemingly, you could say in Hebrew, Lemanacha. For your purpose, have your countenance shine on the sanctuary, on the mikdash, and bring Geula. No. So he says, doesn't say Lemancha. He says Leman Ad Hashem. And number two, he says, if you're choosing a name, why do you choose the name Aleph Dalad Nun Yud versus another name? That's his questions. V'hinei b'Gemara, in the Gemara and Brachos Isa. Let's see what the Gemara says. Amar Rav. Rav says, Av Daniel lo'inena ele b'shvil Avram. Even Daniel was not answered. His prayers were not answered only because of the merit of Avram. Shenemar, as it says, V'ata shma lokeinu leman Adonai. Lemancha miboyelei. The Gemara asked this question. Lemancha, for your sake, it should have said, not leman Adonai. Why does it say Adonai? Says the Gemara, Ela b'shvil Avram shekoracha Adonai. You know why Daniel was answered? And ultimately there was Geula. It's because of Adonai, not referring to Hashem, to God, but referring to Avram. Avram, Yoni, is called the master. Right? He's called the Adon. And because of Avram, so what did Daniel do? Guys, what did Daniel do? He employed the merit of Avram to bring Geula. That's what the Gemara says. So we must understand, Ma'u hatmiya hagdola Toma Rav. What is Rav's great tmiyah? What is Rav's great question here in the Gemara? V'omar, and he says, Av Daniel lenena ela b'shvil Avram. And even Daniel was only answered because of Avram. We find something even greater. The Gam Moshe Rabbeinu, all of Hashem, that even Moshe, he mentions in his prayers the merit of his ancestors. As it says in the Torah, Shmo Yislam et Beis Gimel, quote, remember Avram, Yitzchak, and Yisrael, your servants. If so, what is the great wonder and question of Rav in the Gemara? That the only reason Daniel was answered is because of the merit of Avram. The Mashmam is that this implies Masha Moshe Rabbeinu Shalom, his Kusavish Velocity, Einza Pella, V'inyan Shotei Maklau. This implies like this, Moshe, that the fact that Moshe called upon and mentions Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov as a schus, that his prayer should be answered, that Hillel is not a wonder. That's no big deal. But the fact that Daniel was answered because of Avram's merit, that's a great novelty, a great wonder, and a great chiddush, and a great novelty. So the Rebbe is asking a question on Rav of the previous Gemara. The Rebbe quoted the Gemara. Rav says, you should know that the reason why it says Leman Adonai and not Leman Cho, it's not referring to God, it's referring to who? To Avram, was called the master. So the Rebbe says, wait a second. We find in the Torah that Moshe Rabbeinu employs the schus of Avos to help him in his prayers. Nevertheless, no one asks a question about that. Why? And yet, in the Gemara, Rav is wondering why Daniel needs the merit of Avram so that his prayers are answered. So the Rebbe is Pashut making it clear the difference between the two, and it begs interpretation. Why is it that Rav wondered and was perplexed why we need the schus of Avram? Right? This is just a summary. We have to understand what is the wonder and the tmiha and the Rav's question. What are you getting so bent out of shape that you don't understand the pshat over here? So he says, by the way, I see Hillel Rosenfeld on the screen. I want to say Shalom Aleichem to you. Am I right? Is that Hillel?
Yes.
Shalom Aleichem. I hope you're healthy and well, and I'm so happy to see you. So he says, v'hine acher kol zeh hadra kushya. The question comes back. That's a term that we use in the Gemara. Hadra kushya. The question, kushya means question, kasha, hadra returns. The question returns, that why Daniel employs the name Adonai in his prayer. Because by Avram we also find that he mentioned the other names, right? Avram Yisrael Yaakov. So the question that I asked before, that the Rebbe asked before, returns to the floor, and the question is, why does Daniel employ the name Aleph Daled Nun Yud? Even more so is difficult to understand. Daniel's prayers, his pleadings, his supplication, it's what we call an arousal with great mercy. He didn't just daven Yoni for the Jews in Babylon and the Jews here. He davened for Yidden that Pizurim are in Wyoming, are in Angola. He davened for Yidden that are in Afghanistan. He davened for Yidden that are Pizurim all over, scattered. Uva'ad ira kedusha. And at the same time, he davened for the holy city of Yerushalayim. Now, here goes another quote from another section, guys, from the long Tachnun. Quote, it is not our righteousness that we fall upon, that we rely on. We're not that holy, Moshe, that because of our holiness, Hashem, you got to bring us out of Golus. Lo yaltzit koseinu, tachanuna lifonecha, ki al rachamecha rabim. When we ask you to take us out of Golus, that your countenance shine and bring the light to the desolate Mikdash, it's rachamecha rabim. We're appealing to your abundant mercy. If we were Baruch to just rely on Tzidkaseinu, we're in big trouble. You know why? Because we're not that great. Sorry, chap. We're not that perfect. We goof up. So Daniel knows that. And Daniel says, Lo yal Tzidkaseinu anachnu mapilim. Rather, our supplications and prayers and davening before you. Let's look inside now. He explains nicely. What is Daniel doing here? He arouses an abundance of mercy bi'at klolos Yisrael for all of Israel, uvi'ad ira kodesh, and for the holy temple. V'yadu, and it's known, the whole in Chasidus rachmim rabim. Any time you employ and call forth Hashem's abundant mercy, hule'ere rachmim rabim imkeiro rachamim v'chasodim el yoinim. Guys, do you know how you write to the Ohel when you write a pidyon nefesh? Ono this is the standard Lashon. You write pei nun, pei 2 dittos nun. And not a long nun, but not a nun sofit, but a regular nun, which stands for Pidyan Nefesh, redemption of my soul. You're writing to the tzaddik, to the Rebbe, to bring your tefillas to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Pei nun. Then you start the first line. And the first line, in a way, is the general line for everybody. Ana la'oirer rachmim rabim mimokar harachamim. I wish, la'orer, to arouse rachamim rabim, abundant mercy, mimokar harachamim, from the source of rachamim. Now what does that mean? Why do we need the words mimokar harachamim? I wish to arouse by you, God, great mercy for myself and my family, and then you write the details of what you need. Parnasa, shidduchim, and health, and my sister, and my brother, and my cousin, and my friend, on and on. But we add the word mimokar harachamim. The Rebbe answers this question right here in the Maimer, or in explaining Daniel. He says here, it's very important, he says here, that Daniel, when he asked for Hashem's great mercy for all of Yisrael and Yerushalayim, he calls upon Hashem as Hashem is in Makor, in the source. Because if not for the source, which is infinite, I won't be able to help you. Why? Right now, the situation is as it is, okay? Right now, there's corona in the world. So if I'm appealing to Hashem, as Hashem has given himself into the world vis-a-vis the corona, I still have a problem. I want the removal of it. I want the cessation of the plague. Oh, you want that? You need to touch the source, the makor. If you want to make a change that's a real change, it's not enough to appeal to God's mercy, but you need to appeal to the source of mercy. In other words, let me say it this way. Hashem's mercy, as it is in the world that we live in at any given time, is already limited. It's limited. So yes, you could talk. It's like talking to someone, whether it be a policeman. Please don't give me the ticket. I did do an infringement, but please, I'm sorry. And he turns to you and says, as much as I'd like to help you, I'm bound by law to administer the ticket. And he gives you the ticket. That's regular rachamim. I care for you. But you did a violation, and if I don't give you the ticket, I am going against the overall mentality and rules, and it's no good. So I'm forced to give you the ticket. So what do? You go before the judge, and you say the segula. This is my Amasla bas Karnavai Eimsed Avram Avinu. Amasla, the daughter of Karnavai, is the name of Avram's mother. And I went up to the judge in Brooklyn, in Brighton Beach, and the guy's wearing his ponytail, and he knows the lawyers, and they're smiling, and they're talking, and there's a violation that I get for whatever infraction, and I go before the judge, and I say, not very loud, but not silent. I say it right in front of his face. I'm looking right at you, Baruch. I say, Amasla bas Karnavai Eimsed Avram Avinu. And he picks up his head, and he's like startled. And I don't say anything. I don't explain. And then he takes the ticket. He's dismissed. Now, I'm not saying it happens every time, but we have to appeal to the makor. We have to appeal to the source. The segula, one second. The segula is only a gateway to get to the source. That's, you see, this is something also important. We make a mistake and we make this big deal of segula. The segula is only an entry. It's an entryway. But who are you really talking to? The mocker. Yes, Hillel.
Yes, but that seems to beg the question, because we started to ask the question on Daniel why he uses the Shem Adnas, not the Shem Havai.
Well, we didn't yet. Okay, give it good question, but give it some time. Okay. In other words, what you're asking is the difference between Adnai and Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. And Yud-Kei Vav-Kei seems to be even a greater source. Good, it's a good question. Let's hold off on that. But just the first thing that he says, guys, go back into the Maimah. Look at the words. The Daniel Ma'ore Rachmim Rabim V'Yadua means it's known. V'Yadua, it's a fact. The whole Inyan is Chasidus Rachmim Rabim. Any and all arousal of an abundance of mercy from Hashem, who la'ore rachmim rabim mimkor harachamim v'achsodim elyonim, from the source of mercy and supernal goodness. Hainu meikora v'shorsha, from its root. And now the next line, he's going to tell us basically what that is. So now he's going to answer your question, Hillel. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
He says, "The mokor harachamim hu b'shem Hashem." You're right, he says. The source of rachamim is not only Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud, God being the master. But the source is Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, the Tetragrammaton, the name of 26. Shu Hashem derachamim. The name of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is God's name dealing with mercy. In Kain Lama B'Tfilas U'Masker Shem Adnai Dafka. This is Hillel's question. Why does he mention the name of Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud? You follow? Guys, you sure, Yoni, you got the question? In other words, we just explained that in order to really get the problem alleviated, you got to go to the source, because the source is limitless, infinite. So he says, what's the source? Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. If you compare the name of Hashem of Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud to Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, one is limited, Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud, mastery, God being the master of the universe. That means he already has a connection to the universe. We need the transcendent God, which is implied in the word, in the idea of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. So that's his question, as Hillel just said earlier, Lama b'tfila zu masker shem Adnai Dafke. Why does Daniel choose the name Adnai? V'hinei teichem bakoshes Daniel b'tfilose v'tachanunov. The overall request, his bakasha, and his supplication, next page, 159, Hu sheyireh shalom aseinu. What he says, let's take a look at the content of his prayer. Moshe, what's the content of his prayer? That we should see, that Hashem should see Shalom Moseinu, the desolation, in Yiddish. Es soll angesehen werden unser Shimon. Hashem should see our desolation. Rahman litzlan. In other words, Hashem, please, look how this boredom, as Yoni said, is driving us nuts. We can't go out. The kids are screaming. The kids are romping. There's noise. Yeah. There's this. It's Shimon. The Zeu Urei. And now he quotes another verse that we say in the long Tachnun. What is it? Urei Shem Meseinu. Hashem, see our desolation. V'ha'ir, and see the city of Yerushalayim. Asher nikra shimcha alel, that your name rests upon it. Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim, complete all. As zol ongezen werden der Shimum Yisrael bagoylem, that the desolation of Jews and Judaism in exile should be seen and by Hashem, und der Shimum from Ira Kodesh, and Hashem should see the desolation of the holy city. So now the Rebbe asks a question, Teichen Inyin Bakosha Zu. What is the overall content of this request? The Yiddish, Daniel asks Hashem to see our desolation as a Jewish people and the desolation of the holy city. So what? I see the desolation. That's what he wants. What does he really want? But that's what he says. So the Rebbe says, let's understand this. V'hine, b'inyin hariya l'mayla. When we talk about Hashem seeing, God seeing, Riya Lemaila, Motzinu Lepomim Ksiv, we find two different ideas. Sometimes it says, Ein Hashem El Yoreyav. The eye of Hashem is to those who fear him. Shehi Hariya B'ayin Achas. This is seeing with one eye, right? It says singular, right? Moshe. Ein Hashem, it doesn't say Ein Nav, Ein Nei. It says Ayin, Ein Hashem. Shiyariya ba'ayin achas, with one eye. Upamim, Yoni, sometimes it says, Baruch, Ein Hashem el tzadikim. The eyes of Hashem are to the tzadikim. Here we find plural, Ein Nei. Shehi hariya b'shtei anayim. This is seeing with two eyes. It says there, so seemingly it's a contradiction. Is God looking with one eye or two eyes? So the Medrash at the end of Shir Hashirim answers the question. Quote, at the time when Jews do God's will, he looks at us with two eyes. If this is what's written, the eyes of our God are to the righteous one, meaning when we're being righteous. However, when we don't do God's will, he looks upon us with one eye, and he quotes the verse, the eyes of Hashem are to those who fear him. So this is the Medrash. Medrash at the end of Shir Hashirim. Now he quotes another Medrash. There he expounds like this. You know who this verse is talking about? The eye of Hashem is to those who fear him. Al Havram. This is a reference to Avram, Sheniki Yereyav, who's called fear, the one who fears. Hashem says in the Torah about Avram's activity, his Mesiras Nefesh. Now I know ki Yirei Elikimata, that you are a God-fearing person. Tzarech love, we must understand, the haloi, behold, hinein Hashem al Yireyav, hu abota bein achas. Wait a minute. God looking to the one who fears him with one eye is only with one eye. And we just said before in the Medrash, in another Medrash, v'hu b'shah she'ein oiser etzayne shel kadosh baruch hu. When does the Torah use the ein achas, the one eye, baruch, not two eyes? When you're not doing God's will 100%. So, eich shayach zeh al Avram b'chlal. How can you say that about Avram? Ubefrat achen nisayin akeda. After the test of the Akedah, shu nisayin asidi, which was the 10th test, she'oz nemar, then, after the 10th test, the Torah says, Ki ato yadaite, now I know, after number 10, Ki yirei elokimata, that you're a God-fearing person. So v'tzarech lohavim, ma'u klolos in yariyah d'lamayla. So the Rebbe says like this, what this all points to is a general issue we need to look at. What does it mean God sees? You know, the Torah, HaKadosh, the Holy Torah, employs wording from the physical body. But what does it mean God sees? So the Rebbe says in other words, you're bringing me a medrash, one eye, two eyes. He looks with one, he looks with two, we do it. He says, what does that mean? God that has no eyes. So what's the overall issue of seeing? That's the question. What is the overall idea of God having an eye and God seeing? And what does it mean that he sees with one eye? We'll stop here, and tomorrow we'll continue the explanation to what is this, the overall issue that God. Yes, Hillel.
Can you just comment on the double lashon of Vata and Re'iyah?
I think they're interchangeable usually. The word here, there's another word, histaklus, histakel. Histakel is gazing. But habata, and like this, Re'iyah is, in classical, not just Hebrew, but in classical Torah literature, Re'iyah implies very strong. I see you. And seeing is, there's hearing and there's seeing. But when we go into Sifrei Musar and Sifrei Chasidus, it has a different connotation. And there's more room for difference between histaklus and Re'iyah. I have not seen, I don't recall now, seeing really any verbiage and explanation. Have you? The difference between habeit. We say habeit no ure'eh. It's also part of the long talk. Habeit no, look, please look, ure'eh, and see. So maybe, Hillel, habeit is kind of light, Take a look. And then we go to re'eh, which is see it well. And then there's a third experience called histaklut, which is gazing. Everyone have a great day. We'll see everyone tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem. Shalom.